And welcome into To Your Health. And you know, if you've been around Montgomery for quite some time, you probably remember a hospital that was nestled into downtown. It was called St. Margaret's Hospital. It was brought here by a group of nuns called the Daughters of Charity. You know, I was actually a patient there one time. They thought I was having a heart attack, put me in there, got some great care. But I want to tell you something. I went to a Catholic school as a small kid. Nuns taught us. I show up at St. Margaret's. First thing I did when the nun came in the room is I held out my hand like that, see if she'd beat it with a ruler. But they said, no, you just be a good patient, everything's going to be fine. Well, St. Margaret's is getting ready to have a wonderful reunion, and two of the people that were very integral at that are with me today. Carol Gunter, and you used to be an employee with St. Margaret's many, many years ago before it closed.
Yes, I was.
That's
I
right.
was director of communications there. Great hospital, such a legacy that they left, not only in Montgomery, but throughout central Alabama.
Absolutely, a wonderful one. And also Dr. Fred Hunker. And Dr. Hunker, you were the final chief of staff there before they closed the hospital.
That's right.
And it was not your fault that they closed the hospital. No.
I can't take full credit. So,
No,
I was the last president of the medical staff. That's correct.
Wow. And many years ago did it close?
It closed in '89. It sold actually
Okay.
to Humana, and the hospital finally closed in 1999.
Wow. But it was a wonderful hospital back then. It was a full service hospital, was it not?
It was. In fact, St. Margaret's was probably best known as the heart hospital for many years.
Right.
We had things like Life Flight, a helicopter program. It was full service. And of course, the obstetrical program was very well known. A lot of people were born there. In fact, I was born at St. Margaret's. In fact, I used to tell everybody it was called St. Mary's until I was born there, and they changed it to St. Margaret's, which is my name. But they believed that until I started first grade, and then that kind of fell apart.
And then the nun hit you with the ruler.
The nun just slapped me hard,
Yeah.
yeah. And the nuns were such a wonderful part of
They
the
were.
hospital and that lobby. People remember so much the stained glass, the chapel, the stairs that went up to the chapel, and just the caring and the compassion that were shown to all of the patients.
And Dr. Hunker, back then, obviously, we had Jackson Hospital and we had St. Margaret's. They were just getting started with Baptists, weren't they, at that point?
Well, it had a good start. A lot of the physicians for both Jackson's and Baptist had previously practiced at St. Margaret's. And Baptist drew from the internal medicine physicians more.
Okay.
Jackson's was a surgical physician hospital to begin with, but both hospitals gained staff when the St. Margaret's Hospital closed.
And at its peak, how many bed hospital was it there? Do you remember?
250.
250 beds. And in today's world, is that considered a medium-sized hospital, or it's obviously not a real large hospital, but it's not a small hospital?
Yeah, that's medium size, but occupancy even now at the hospitals at Baptist and Jackson's runs 250 to a little over 300.
Wow.
And so they were always full. St. Margaret's was full. They had a really premier hospital at the time. I think the nuns, were very faithful to their mission.
Yes,
and
they
were the Daughters of Charity, and the Flying Nuns, if people remember that old show on
Absolutely.
TV with the head,
Yes.
the wide white head pieces. When they left, they had a service at St. Peter's, celebration of the Mass and departure, and they wore those outfits. The nuns wore the original costumes from the Daughters of Charity, which came from France originally. So they were faithful to their mission. I think they ended up, the indigent care in Montgomery became a big issue.
Yes.
And finally they were in an area there that things were moving east and south somewhat to Baptist. And so the demographics, I think, became more of a problem. And so while they were very mission driven, and that was very inspiring, Sister Almeida used to say, no money, no mission. So,
That's right.
So they ran into issues with the business part of medicine eventually.
Margaret, big reunion now, right?
There is a
Tell
reunion
us
coming
about
up. Yes, it's going to be in October,
Okay.
the 26th and 27th. It will
Right.
be here in Montgomery. The agenda is still being finalized for the day of the 27th, but it will start with a reception at the Embassy Suites Hotel at 6 o'clock. There's a website. I would encourage everyone to go out and look
we'll
for.
Put that on the screen.
Yes, and it is a reunion for the employees and medical staff and people who had worked there in various capacities. But also, if you will go to this website address, there's a section there where if you were a patient or had any dealings with St. Margaret's, leave your message. We would love to hear from you.
And we're even going to have some of the sisters that actually were here. They're going to come back for the reunion.
Yes, Dr. Hunker referenced Sister Almeida, and she was a well-known force with St. Margaret's. In fact, I'd like to add, too, not only the care that was provided there in the hospital, but during the 60s, most of the nurses who were trained at St. Margaret's School of Nursing.
That was the School of Nursing.
Yes, and it eventually sold to Troy. But the School of Nursing was very instrumental in training so many of the nurses. And also within St. Margaret's, we had a med tech school and a laboratory tech school. So a lot of training was done there as well.
Good. Well, thank you so much for all that you have done in the past and you continue to do, young man. And just remember this, it's right around the corner in October. Go to the website, find out. If you want to be part of a wonderful reunion, join them. And we'll be right back right after this.